Hey everyone, it's day 5 of the Solstice Fast. Everything's still going good. Got a indigo-ish color hoodie on. These are very comfortable hoodies. Not affiliated, haven't got an affiliation link down in the description box. Just find them very comfortable. Feeling incredibly rested. I don't think I realized how much I'd been working recently. It's been quite relaxing. A lot of the efforts that I've been putting into things recently has been it's while I'm resting, so the fast has been a lot easier than it has in previous times. I was always active, always busy working, so it makes a nice change. This is the first time I've done a fast where I've actually had time off to be able to rest and recuperate. I'm not sure if that's contributing to helping heal quicker, or if it's just the placebo effect. The less stress you have on your mind, the easier it is to heal. So, yeah, I've got a little project I'm working on doing for a friend who's released a song recently that is quite comically linked to the stuff that I talk about in my videos. It's a very satanic song when you look at the lyrics. I'll be doing a run through of the lyrics of the song and each link that I've noticed. Well, that should be a fun one coming up. And on the subject of music, so I realized that you have some cultures that don't do music, like in Islam. The idea is that you would submit to God or Allah, which is Arabic for the God. You, if you have taken a shahada and devoted yourself to God, listening to music can get you carried away and pull you away from that path. And if you look at the evil that's out there in the charts at the moment, it's each to their own. I've listened to some very crazy tunes in my time. Enjoy a large variety of different types of music, but you have to admit there's some stuff out there that really influences people in the wrong way. It's something that you can find quite laughable if you recognize it for what it is. Whereas if you're not conscious of what you're listening to, you can be steered in all sorts of directions without realizing. On the subject of whether or not music is good or bad, it's both and neither. It's not really going to be one or the other. It's a tool. It's like, is a hammer good or evil? Well, it depends. Are you using it to make a something out of wood and nails, or have you beaten someone in the head with it? Like a knife, is it good or bad? Are you cutting a cake or cutting a person? Like, it's down to how it's used. Even with magic, witchcraft, it's not that the art itself would be evil. It's the way that it's used. And music is quite powerful. I would consider it equal to magic, and it could be a form of witchcraft. It's something that you don't need people's consent. Like if you were to trick someone into drinking a potion, you could have something inside some food or drink that you give to a person, but there's no guarantee that they're going to accept it or to drink it. Whereas if you have messages in the music, this enters people's ears when they're out shopping. It enters people's minds, and it has catchy little hooks that you'll have repeating in your brain, and they suggest things with the words. And I find that at most points, if I relax and aim to meditate, what I'll find is that I never hear full silence. I've got tinnitus in both ears, so there's two different tones that I'm hearing to begin with. And on top of that, there's usually always a song playing in my head. If I relax, I can hear it. There's a certain rhythm. And it's something that only becomes apparent after I've taken a moment to relax and listen to it. And I think that's something that, for me, I've got that as a challenge. whenever I go to sit in stillness and silence. But I absolutely love music, and for me personally, I don't feel like it pulls me away from a connection to God. I mean, my favorite Japanese artists are Ado and Eve. Everything's always going to link back to God for me. 66 hours of Ado. That is quite impressive. That's very satanic. It's interesting to see the satanic numbers coming up. I find that a lot with music, a very earthly feel about it. And of course, Saturn is an earth sign. Not so much an earth sign, it rules Capricorn, which is an earth sign. And Saturn is very much down to earth, being that it's the ruler of the material realm. And the song that my friend made is perfectly titled Made for You, as this material world was. As if you're watching this, all of what you're seeing is just a reflection of what's on the inside of you. Everything on the outside was made for you. It was made by you. Well, by us, really. Because outside of this place, time doesn't exist. Inside of this place, we experience everything as one individual through many different timelines. And our paths cross and entangle. But we came in separately on linear time, but exist together. So that's the power of the simulation. If you're interested in hearing me break the song down line by line, and that video will be coming soon. If you're interested in checking out the song in advance, I will leave a link to it in the description box here. The lead singer has been a dear friend of mine for 20 years now, maybe longer. I think, yeah, I'd have been 17 20 years ago, and she'd have been 16. I think that's when we met. I really enjoy the music that she makes. Find it amazing how many links there are to Saturn in the Made for You song, especially as she isn't the kind of person who looks into this kind of thing. It was written naturally, almost like channeling the essence of the Saturnic energy just through influence. It makes you wonder how much influence we get from the outside when we create things. Where is it channeling from? Well, I mean, it's all channeling from the One, and the One is the Eternal One. The One makes up all of the other numbers just by adding more ones. It's a bit like dominoes. You got the same dot, but multiple dots together. They represent a new form. You got 6, which is the number of the beast. Well, 3 of them. No, 6 is the number of the man, the number of material world. I can't get away from. It's something that I feel in my heart. I feel in my mind. It's an obsession. It's something that even if I decide to fall and become as ignorant as I can, if I went to go back to alcohol, wouldn't be long before I remember the connection to source. And I don't mean barbecue sauce, I mean the source, as God is the source of us all, the creator, and also the material that's used to create us. Which is interesting. I've heard people recently calling this place, I think it was ancient Greek philosophy, maybe Platonian, talking about how this world is made out of forms because there exists out there perfect forms, but the earth, this world that we're in, has imperfect material that's used to make those perfect forms. I don't subscribe to this idea. I don't think this world is imperfect material. I think it's perfect. It's just recognizing why it's perfect. You could see something as imperfect if you were to say you've got the perfect form of a table, because the idea would involve the geometry of the shapes. all coming together to create this form that we know called a table. But if you get a dodgy piece of wood that you're using to make the table, well, the table can only look as nice as the piece of wood that you're using. You use an imperfect material. On the one hand, it would be seen as imperfect if you're judging it based on how identical it looks to the ideal form. But when you consider how many different pieces of wood there are and how many different tables there are, what we don't want is exact replicas. We need each to have its own individual fingerprint. Everything needs to be unique. And that's why things are perfect in this realm. It's perfectly unique. All the good and all of the bad. It's creating the full spectrum. We're not missing anything out. In order for one thing to exist, everything must exist. Otherwise, why pick one form over the other form? There's a lot that you could miss, and you would run out of forms a lot quicker. So if you had everyone look identical, then how would you be able to tell who's who? I mean, if everyone had the same name, how would you know when someone's talking to you? So I don't subscribe to the idea that this is an imperfect world at all. I think that this place is absolutely perfect the way it is. And as for music, there's so many songs that make me feel good. I listen to a large variety of things, even just in Christmas music. There's got to be about 7 or 8 different genres of Christmas music on my playlist. A lot of the in multiple languages too. Like a lot of the songs that I listen to aren't in English. I find that sometimes that can be useful because it helps you learn or familiarize yourself with other languages while also enjoying the rhythms. You're not so much influenced by the music as the words don't make logical sense until you're aware of what they mean. And that's the reason I like listening to Japanese music. You've got a lot of J-rock songs, the anime openings. They're very melodic and usually very lively and happy. And you can easily feel happy through an entire day just from listening to these. Maybe I should talk about the actual fast. Probably 5 days into the Solstice Fast, and I keep waffling on about every other subject. You shouldn't really be having waffles during a fast now. It goes against the whole point of avoiding the food. So, been on grapes. I've got a bottle of grape juice, and I'm finding it a lot slower. Whereas used to working all the time, I'd be drinking all the time because I'm always needing to stay hydrated, replenish the sweat that I was losing and using internally, the water I was using internally. So it's been a very big shift for going from that kind of fasting to relaxing. I've had a, I've been sustained on a lot less liquid, and so the juice has lasted a lot longer. I've still got 105 oranges that I can drink over the next few days. It's like chances are I'm going to be 8 days in, maybe 9 before I move on to the water. But then I don't need to finish the fast on the day of the solstice. Could just extend it further. It's not really a problem. I like having the freedom to be able to do this if I'm enjoying it. I'm not feeling too weak, then I think it would be a good idea. Maybe do fasting on Christmas Day. Something that I've done once before and I enjoyed it. It'd be interesting to do it sober, see what the difference is. I mean, I say sober, potentially could smoke cannabis on the night, but as a mind expansion experience rather than a daily would you call it a mechanism? I'm not sure. Thing that you use to help function. As I'm not overusing my muscles at the moment, I'm finding that I'm not really in need of a muscle relaxant. I find it's a lot easier to go without. Been 5 days without now, not missing it. I can be in the same room as it, in the same room as other people smoking it. I get the smell of it, and the smell of it doesn't make me want one. I'm just as happy being sober. And it's very nice. I like having a clear mind. Clear mind, you're able to see a lot of things a lot clearer. I see a lot more connections. So I said I was going to keep this short. We're about 15 minutes in. I think this is a good place to end it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.